Yo, what's up? This is your girl Dragon and it's time for another tutorial. Today I want to show you how to create a timed capture zone game. In this game we're creating today, the players' points were reduced by a certain amount of time. Now if they want to gain points, they have a chance to capture zones to stay in the game. If they do not have enough points, they're going to be transferred to an area where they are disqualified. Now this is a pretty hefty tutorial, so I'm going to make sure that I mark chapters here for you guys. That way you can skip through with what you need. But before we get into it, please be sure to drop that support. My creator code is blaze.dragon right there on the screen. If you do, you are awesome. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Let's go. Go ahead and show you guys how to create this amazing game. Again, the system is very simplistic, but it's extremely versatile. So let's go ahead and get into it. Go over all the devices you're going to need for the setup, and that's going to be 2 score managers, player spawn pad, 1 tracker, 2 timers, and I have some HUD message devices. You can also set it up to connect to a health device, and this is optional, meaning that when the players run out of points, they could be eliminated, but I have this tutorial set up so that they're transported to an area where they're disqualified. When you are beginning your setup, it's very important to start with the score manager. So first I'm going to show you guys how I'm setting these up here, because this is going to be the core system for your game. Basically, when the players start, they're going to be assigned a certain amount of points that you like. For instance, I have it signing 50 points, but every few seconds or so, their points are going to reduce by 10. So that's the whole premises of the game. When they run out of points, they're going to be transported to an area where it says that they're disqualified. Or we can set it up so when they run out of points, their health is depleted and they're eliminated out of the match. This tutorial, I'm going to show you how to teleport them, but I will include a little snippet that shows you how to eliminate them as well. So let's go ahead and first take a look at the score managers. First up is the score manager watcher, and this basically is going to set the points once the player spawns. Then it's going to decrement every time the timer goes down, and it's going to transmit on score 0 to start another timer to give the player time to get points. If the player doesn't get enough time, again, they're going to be transported to an area where they're going to be disqualified. So let's take a look at the settings for this and check it out. So you see for score value, I have it set at 50. The score award type is add. The activating team is any. The times that it can trigger is infinite because we're going to have it decrementing. Increment score on awarding is off because it's going to be set to decrement based on receiving a signal from another device, which is going to be the timer. Score change when activated is at 10, and then minimum score and maximum score is negative 999, and maximum score is exactly the same. You can leave that, don't have to touch it. Enabled during phase is all. Visible during game, I have it set to only number because this is a tutorial, but when you run your game, be sure to turn this to no. Transmit on score 0 because once they reach 0 points, we want something to happen and we're going to be transported to a disqualified area. Play audio is no, and display score update on HUD is off. Again, if you want to play around with these additional settings, feel free to do so. You might create something you like. Let's take a look at the functions. So I have it activating when the player is spawned, and that's when they're spawned, it's going to give them the 50 points. It's going to decrement when receiving from the timer device, and I call it the point reducer, and it's going to decrement on success of the timer. So what I did here was I added some extra objectives to the game, and how I did that was I added a capture area zone. So what this does is when a player enters that zone and they capture the area, they get a bonus of 10 points. And that will help them stay in the game longer. If they do not capture a zone in time and their points are reduced down to 0, then they're going to be disqualified. So I have it set to increment when receiving from all the capture area zones I have on the map, and you can see that here. And you want to make sure you have it set to when the area is scored. Lastly, I have on-score output to send an event to the HUD message device, and it's going to say, hey, the score is at 0, you need to get points to stay in the game, and then the timer that's going to give them time to get points is going to start. Alright, so let's check out the Score Manager Reducer. So every few seconds, their points are going to reduce by 10, especially if they don't capture a zone. So let me show you how this works. I have the score value set to 10. The scoreboard type is set to subtract. The activating team is any. The times this can trigger is infinite. Increment score and awarding is off. Score change when activated is 0. And these two again are left the same. You can enable during phase all, visible in-game no, and then this is set to transmit on score 999. That is because this is actually not set to transmit on score, so that does not matter. I have it playing audio, so every time their score reduces, you're going to hear this sound. But the thing with this is they're only going to hear it if they're close to the device. You can actually add a kind of like a sound alert or sound effects. That way they can hear it every single time. I have display score update on HUD is on. Reset HUD message score is off. And I have a HUD message set to negative score, and I set my color. Again, you can choose any color you like. Display score update if score is 0 is off. Alright, so let's check out the functions. This is activate when receiving from timer device point reducer on success. Everything else is left untouched, and so on. And that is how you set up your scoring system. So everything else from here is setting up the timers and your messages. So let's check it out. All right, setting up the trackers, timers, and messages. So first tracker I'm going to show you guys is the tracker score. So this is the main tracker. When they spawn, they're going to assign this tracker, and it's going to say reach a certain amount of points to reach it to the next level. And let's check it out. So I have the stat to track its score. Override scoreboard is set to no. Reset between rounds is yes. The target value is set to 200 for this tutorial. Again, you can make it anything you like. The starting value for this tracker is 0. And you want to make sure you set it there because they're going to be assigned a score as soon as they start. And once they're assigned that score, this tracker will update. Valid team is any. Assign on game start is yes. Assign when joining in progress is yes, but you can set that to no depending on your game. Progress sharing is individual. Target team is any. Target class is any. Weapon category is any. When target is reached, it's going to complete the tracker. Winning team is set to use game win conditions. Amount to change on receive signal is 0. Show on HUD is detailed, and this means that the tracker is only going to show on the top left hand side of the screen. The tracker title I set for this tutorial is Score Tracker, but again you can put whatever you like. And then of course with description text, be really creative with it. Right now I have reached this score to get to the next round. Progress indicator is set to total. Tracker completion ceremony is set to yes. Self-eliminations count no. Player eliminations count no. Headshots only no. Non-player eliminations count no. And you can choose any quest icon and color you like. We're not using persistence for this tutorial, so there's no need to do that. Now let's check out the functions. So you see everything is pretty default, but we have it assigning when receiving from player spawner, and there's no additional events. Now, if you're going to have them transport to another area, once they reach that score, this is where you're going to want to add an event. So you can have them teleport to a teleporter. Whatever you like to do here, feel free. Next is our main timer, so let's check it out. I have the duration set to 10 seconds. Again, you can switch that to whatever you like. There's no timer name. The timer direction is a countdown. Start timer at game start is set to off, and that's because I have it set to start when the player spawns. However, if you want it to start as soon as the game starts, you want to make sure you have this set on. Activating team is any, allowed class is any, applies to the player only. Reset timer if failing team or class check is off. Disable timer if failing team or class check is off. Result on timer end is success. Completion behavior is restart. Visible during game, I have it set for yes for this tutorial. Timer color can be anything you like, and display time in minutes or seconds only, you can choose. It's going to be showing on HUD because we want the players to see that within this amount of time, your points will reduce. And then of course you can choose your timer label text style. The timer is not set to save. There's not an urgency mode on this timer. And we do have audio effects on. Again, you can turn it off. And lastly, if instigating player is not present, we're going to pick a random player, and display score update on HUD is off. All right, let's take a look at the functions. So we're going to start again when receiving from the player spawner. This is going to pause when received from the teleporter. Now this teleporter teleports them when they have 0 points, they're out the game. So this timer is going to pause because it's always set to restart. And there you go, everything else is set to default. There's practically nothing there. Let's go ahead and move on to the events. On success, send event 2. So look at all the events that we're sending to. We're sending an event to the score manager reducer to activate and reduce the points by 10. And then I also have score manager watcher, which we've already went over, and this again will decrement. And that's it. All right, now that we're done with the timer device point reducer, let's check out the timer device no points. So I set this timer up so that the players have enough time to get points. Now if they don't get points, this timer is going to be the one that's going to take them out the game. The duration for this timer, I have it set at 15 seconds. The timer name is get points to stay in the game. Again, this will stay above the timer, but they won't see it in the initial game. If you do want them to see it in the initial game, I'll show you where to put that. The timer direction is countdown. Start timer at game start is off. Activating team is any. Allowed class is any. Applies to the player only. Reset timer if failing team or class check is off. Disable timer if failing team or class check is off. Result on timer end is success. Completion behavior is reset. Visible during game is yes. And again, any color you want. Let me just go back up to completion behavior. And again, this could be set to anything you like. For this tutorial, I do have it set at reset. Display time is in minutes, seconds, but you can change it to seconds only. Timer running text is get points to stay in the game, but like I said before, we have another timer that's running at the same time, and you're going to see that that first timer is going to basically take over this one. It won't display the message, so that's why I have a HUD message device in its place. There's no pause text, there's no success score value. Failure score penalty is 0, score per second remaining is 0. I have it set to show on HUD, and timer label is set to orange, but again, it doesn't matter, they're not going to see it. And urgency mode I do have on, they're going to see this, it's set to 3 seconds and it says hurry. And audio effects is on. If instigating player is not present, it's pick a random player, and display scored update on HUD is off. So let's check out the functions. This is start when receiving from score manager watcher. So I have it set to reset when receiving from. And keep in mind that whenever you reset a timer, it doesn't restart the timer, it only resets and stops, which is perfect for this situation. If the player gets in a capture zone and gets points before this timer goes off, then they can stay in the game. The timer will reset and stop, and then the score watcher is going to transmit again once they reach a score of 0, which will start the timer back over again. So this will create a continuous loop process and a very, very fluid system. And also for safety measures, I have it to pause when receiving from exactly the same, but it's going to reset anyways and start over. Everything else is default as you see here. Alright, let's check out the events. So when this timer is successful, it's going to send an event to the HUD message device that says you have no points, and it's going to teleport the player to the disqualified area. Alright, let's check out the HUD message device. I have 2 here. The first one we're going to check out is the HUD message device no points, and this will say, uh-oh, you ran out of points. And as soon as they see this, they're transferred to a place that says you're disqualified. This is going to be only received from the triggering player. Time for round start is off. Display time is 3 seconds, but you can set that longer if you like. I would say no longer than 3 to 5 seconds. The text style is large. Message priority is normal, and you can choose any sound you like. Placement, I have it set at center right, but again, this is optional. And visible during game is no. Shown and receiving from timer device, point, no points. And that's it. Alright, so this HUD message device states to get points, and it states to get points to stay in the game. And that is because since I'm going to have 2 timers running that I want to show on the HUD, this one's going to basically be priority. So you're going to see it kind of show real fast, but the player won't see the message. So that's why I have a HUD message device. So basically it's set to triggering player. Time from round start is off. Display time is 3 seconds. It's practically the same. I have a different sound, round countdown. Placement is center right. Show when receiving from score manager watcher on score output, and that's when it outputs a score of 0, and it's going to remind the player that, hey, you need to get points to stay in the game. Now that I've shown you everything you need to basically do your base startup, let's check out those capture zones. Alright, so I've set a few here and kind of spread them out. You can see them there, the pink, the green, and the blue. And since we're using event binding, you can kind of see how these are set up already since I've been through them all, and you can see how they're already connected to the devices up there. But there's still a few other things going on here, so let's check it out. And this is zone A. The color I have it set to pink. Capture radius is at 1 tile. The height is at 3 tiles. Consume item on score is no. Consume item when dropped is no. Item filter, and I have it set to for periodic scoring. Item delivery score is 0, and that's because we're not actually having the players deliver a physical item to the zone. But let's say you're making a pizza delivery game, then you need to drop that pizza right in there, and that will allow them to get a score for delivering that item to the zone. If they don't deliver the pizza in time, they lose points, so you know, you get the idea. Alright, so let's move on to periodic scoring, and this is set for each player. periodic scoring time is set to 10 seconds. Periodic score is set to 0, and that is because I'm going to actually have it grant a score when they capture the zone. But let's say you want them to gain score while they're in the zone, then you're going to set the amount that you want them to gain for the 10 seconds that they're in the zone. So let's say you want them to earn points while they're in the zone. So if you set it, let's say, periodic score value of 1, what that means is they will earn 1 point every second up to 10 seconds they stand in the zone. And you can set that to however many points you like. For this tutorial, I have it set to 0. Can be captured by team, I have it set to all. Control time is 5 seconds. So basically, they need to stand in this zone for 5 seconds if they want to gain control of the zone and get their points. Score on taking control is 10, so they're going to gain 10 points when they take control of the zone. Neutralize time is instant. So basically, the zone will be set to neutralize instantly as soon as another zone is captured. And I have that set up through events, so we're going to check that out here in a little bit. Alright, take control faster per player. So this means that the more players that are in the zone, the faster it would allow them to take control of the zone. So you can set that as high or as low as you like. Take control faster while emoting. And this is really fun to add. I have it set to a 1.5, but you can actually, take that down if you want and have no boost. Count as objective, I have it set to on. Show an objective HUD is on. Show capture progress on HUD is yes. HUD elements, again, whatever you like, I have it set to badge, and that's it for the settings there. Let's check out the functions. So everything is kind of set to default except for neutralizing. And again, this zone will neutralize when they capture area zone 2. And then area 2 will neutralize when this zone is captured. So it's kind of going to go back and forth. If you don't want it to be that way, then let's say you want it to neutralize as soon as an area is captured so the next person can come in, then you can just, basically add the same device and just have it reset itself, right? So you're just going to do capture booster 1, and when area is scored, just like that. So it's basically, it's going to neutralize as soon as the area is scored to reset itself. Now I don't have it set that way because for this game I want them to run from zone to zone, which will make the game more challenging. Because if you have it set that way to neutralize as soon as it's scored for the same zone, they can just stay in the zone and gain points. Again, it's just truly up to you if that's how you want to set up your game. Alright, let's check out events. On item is consumed, I have nothing there. On item is delivered, again, nothing there. Again, if you're doing like a pizza delivery game or any type of item delivery game, that's where you want to put those events. So when the area is scored, you can see there's a few events that are happening here. I have it to show a HUD message, and this is going to say points increased by 10. Capture area zone 2 is going to neutralize. The timer device point, no points, is going to reset and pause. And I mean, this is optional. You probably don't have to put that there since it's going to reset anyways. Like I said, this is a fail-safe. Score Manager Watcher is set to increment. That way, the score doesn't go down to 0. It's going to increment by 10, and they'll be still in the game. Alright, and every capture zone is exactly set up the same way. The only difference is one will neutralize once another is captured. So those I have toggled between the 3 here. So for example, when this is captured, this is going to neutralize. When this is captured, this is going to neutralize. And when this is captured, then this is going to neutralize. So they'll be running, between these 3 if they want to continue to keep their points. And what can keep the game really interesting here is to add, I have guards here and that type of thing. and they'll need to capture these zones to stay in the game and also survive. And you can even make a very unique team versus team game this way as well, and add some different elements to your capture zone games. Alright, let's check out the HUD message device. So when they do capture a zone, it's going to say score increased by 10, and this is set to triggering player. It's going to display only for 3 seconds, and it's going to display in a red outline. Message priority is normal. It's going to play a round start sound. It's going to be in the top center, and visible during game. The HUD message device is set to no. Let's check out the functions. It's going to show and receiving from. Again, you see every capture area once the area is scored. This one I can go ahead and delete because it's not going to show and it's not necessary. Alright, now that we've done the capture zones and you guys are fully aware of that, let's check out the last part, when they're teleported to the disqualified area. So this is a very simplistic disqualified zone, but you can do a lot here. You can add a matchmaking hub or even an armory that has vending machines. So let's say the players are earning gold as they're getting eliminations, or even, delivering pizzas, anything like that. They can come in here and buy stuff, and then they can wait a certain amount of time to go back into the game. So that'll keep the game going, it'll keep them having fun, and so on. Alright, so let's check out the teleporter. Teleporter group is none. Teleporter target group is none. Enable during phase is all. Team is all. Change teleporter target is never. Link to target is no. Teleporter rift is not visible. Play visual effects is yes. Play sound effects is yes. Conserve momentum is yes. Face player in the teleporter direction is yes, but you can set that to whatever you like. Effects class, all but selected. The selected class is any. Effect radius is off. Maintain relative position is yes. Skydive after teleport is not necessary. And maintain momentum during teleport to event is world. Alright, so for events I have on teleported send event to timer device point reducer pause. So as soon as they're teleported here, the timer is going to pause. And like I said here before, they can do anything you like. Go to a vending machine, buy some cool items, or even play another game in your custom matchmaking hub. Alright you guys, so that's the entire setup. Let's go ahead and run a test so you guys can see how everything works together. Alright, so when the players spawn in, they are assigned 50 points. And their points should be reducing here in about 1 second. I now have 40 points. I need to get to a zone. Alright, I have 40 points, but I have 6 seconds to get to the next zone. Alright, I'm down by 30, but if I stay in the zone, I can get my 40 back. Alright, nice. Alright, let's see here. If I do not get my points when I start to do others, my points will continue to reduce. I have 10 points. Alright, I got 20, let's go. Alright, but the time is still going, so now I have 10 points again. I can get to a zone, but if something stops me, then I don't get to the zone in time. I'm gonna get disqualified. Here we go. Alright, GG's. The timer has stopped, and I'm at a negative 10. And you can see I did not reach the score of 200 to stay in the game. And again, I can continue on this mechanic just by adding a few things here. Like I said, like another timer that will put them back into the game if they want, and it's pretty cool. Alright you guys, that's going to do it for this tutorial. Thank you so much for hanging in there. I do hope it helps. Other than that, I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care. Bye!